Hello, good morning. Welcome back again. As you see today up on my screen, rather than me and my face and hanging out, I've got the chart up again. And this time we're looking at the USA Sibley chart, which is for July 4th, 1776. This is the one, it's got a Sag rising. This is the one that Austin Coppock and Chris Brennan and the guys who do the Astrology podcast use as the national chart for the United States of America. And just to put it out there that I am not an American citizen, I am a Canadian, and I have a different, perhaps, relationship to this whole subject because I barely go down to America at all. I mean, I have been to America, but I don't go very often. But I have to, it's like one of these things that even if it's geographically very close to where I live, you just cross the border and you get the feeling you're in a very different place with a very different vibe than what it's like living here in Canada. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because Canada we don't have very big population here, and there's this whole, I feel that regardless of the fact that I'm a Canadian citizen, I am a sensitive guy, I'm an intuitive guy, and I feel very much kind of what goes on in America, although I'm not in the middle of it, I'm not living there, I feel like there's something going on in the collective right now, which is pretty messed up. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just a judgment though, but to make no bones about it, I don't want to get into all the details, and because like I said, I go through different phases, or sometimes I'm more sensitive and more open to things than others, and I don't want to sit and look at all the grisly, horrifying news stories because there's so much of that stuff, and so I recently decided to I had a Facebook group called Current Events Astrology, and I was really just posting news articles, making some brief comments about the different planetary associations and the different transits and how they relate. And I wasn't even going that deep into analysis on that group, but I decided to pause it because I just felt like there was the stuff that's been going on in the news and the stuff that's been going on in the collective has been just a bit too much, and I didn't really want to approach it at that level. And for my next video, I was kind of working out what I was going to do, and I figured, I might as well try to say something about this current situation. Specifically, I mean, I'm sure the whole world is going through changes, but I notice it the most in America, and people have talked about America's Pluto return and that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up the transits that we've got going on. So, hold on. This is not the right thing. Let's refresh here. Okay. So as you can see here, what we've got is the outer wheel. It says Vancouver, Canada, because that's where I'm based, but you don't really need to focus on that so much. It's all getting put onto the Sagittarius rising of the American Sibley chart. And so there's one of the big things that a lot of people were talking about was the Pluto return of the United States. And the Pluto, as you can see, is at the 00 degree in retrograde of Aquarius. So, and the Pluto position of the United States, it was at the 27th degree. So, by this measure, we've already had the Pluto return of the United States, although the Pluto retrogrades back and forth, so it's going to go back and hit the America's Pluto position, or get into that vicinity. It's only 3 degrees away right now, so you could say that this is still kind of like the conclusion of the Pluto return. And as I'm speaking right now, Jupiter is at the 29th degree of Aries. It's about to ingress into Taurus very soon. And one of the big problems has been, I'll just say it, is that there has been a mass shooting in the United States of America every day this year. And actually, not even that, there's actually been more than just one mass shooting every day in America this whole year. And, I could just try to be the kind of astrologer who's like, don't say, we're only going to talk about positive, nice things and pretend the world is all sunshine and rainbows and fluffy bunnies and whatever. But to be, I, I'm realizing that I'm my own kind of astrologer, and that's not the kind of astrologer that I am. So I might as well try to approach this, even though it's a difficult thing, and I'm sensitive. I don't want to stare too dark, stare too much into the abyss, or the heart of darkness. Um, so one of the things that I was thinking about here was that I was thinking about making a video for Mars squaring Jupiter, but I was a little bit, something about this felt a little bit uncomfortable to me. And I started thinking about this Mars in Cancer. Now, Mars, of course, is in its fall in Cancer, because Cancer has to do for things with like the family, emotional attachment, sentimentality, all those kinds of things. And Jupiter is in Mars's sign in Aries, and they're squaring each other right now by an orb of 4 degrees at this particular moment, and it's just going to get tighter over the next few days as they both make their ingress into Taurus. Now, the thing is if you notice from the position of America in America's Sibley chart, that America doesn't have any placements in Leo, and it doesn't have any placements in Taurus. So maybe it seems like if there's any silver lining, at least once we get these planets out of Cancer and out of Aries, or mainly just this Mars and Cancer, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to just rewind, basically. So, as you can see, Mars right now is on the position of America's Mercury at the 24th degree of Cancer. And as I keep going backwards, you can see that for a certain period of time here, Mars has been just moving through Cancer and hitting off all these positions in the American Sibley chart. So here on April 21st, Mars was conjunct the Sun in Cancer. And then, or what I should say, not really conjunct, but transiting a conjunction. And then, as we keep going back, so at April 5th, Mars was hitting the Jupiter position of the American Sibley chart. At April 1st, April Fool's Day, Mars was hitting the Venus position of the American Sibley chart. And then Mars made its ingress, here around March 25th. And then if we keep going back, like I said, there's been mass shootings in America every day this year. More than one mass shooting a day every year in America. And then, so if we keep going back, in March, Mars was conjunct the natal, or if you want to say natal, it's not really, the birth of a nation. I guess, if you use natal as a kind of a metaphor, Mars was conjunct America's Mars position on March 7th, 2023. And you keep putting it back. Bear with me here. So then you can also see that Mars hit the Uranus position on January. Hold on, not January 29th, but around January 24th, Mars hit the Uranus position of the American Sibley chart. So hold on. Just find out when. Then we had this Mars retrograde in 2022 where Mars was just in Gemini for a long time. And that Mars retrograde, as you can see, went back and forth over these positions. So you can see that from the point of view of America, like I said, I don't want to pay that much attention to all the grisly details of what is going on in America, but we had this long Mars retrograde in Gemini, and from the position of the American Sibley chart, because you've got both Mars and Uranus in the Sibley chart, this Mars retrograde must have been pretty gnarly. And then once that Mars retrograde stopped, Mars went and ingressed out of that, and then went through the Venus, the Jupiter, the Sun, and this big. America has this big stellium in Cancer, right? And here we are today with Mars conjunct the Mercury on this stellium in Cancer. And what we're going to have happen is that Mars... Oh, hold on. I'm going to skip by a month. Mars is going to separate from that, and then Jupiter ingresses into Taurus on May 17th. That's only 5 days from now, right? And then as Jupiter's at the 0 degree there of Taurus, Mars is going to square it perfectly from Leo. Now, the north node of America is in Leo at 6 degrees, so that might be a little bit sensitive with Mars on the north node. But from an astrological point of view, at least if you look at America, it's got mostly cardinal and mutable placements with that Cancer, that Gemini, that Saturn in Libra, that Pluto in Capricorn. So once we get Jupiter and Mars in the fixed sign, maybe that would mean things will ease off for America a little bit. But then you also have to consider that the nodal axis for America's Sibley chart is at the 6th degree of Leo and Aquarius, and then Mars and Jupiter are going to be conjunct and squaring the nodes, which is also another sensitive thing. And also, I don't do much with the asteroids, but you've also got Chiron making a return to the natal Chiron position. I'm just using this app that has limited... Well, I guess I could throw asteroids on. I'll get into that maybe in another video. I do believe the asteroids work, but I am not choosing to use them, just for the sake of keeping it simple. And I won't get into any more detail about that. But I think we can also consider the fact that, here we go, if we go up by months forward, we can see that Pluto is going to retrograde back to the America's natal Pluto position on September 20th at 27 degrees of Capricorn. So whether this is kind of an ongoing process of America's Pluto return before Pluto is in Aquarius for good. And then I think that's about it that I'm going to be doing for this video. But another thing to consider in the long run is that once Uranus is in Gemini, America is going to have its Uranus return as well, and that should certainly be interesting. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much analysis there. I'm going to leave it at this. But yeah, I thought, with all this stuff going on, and from the position of being an astrologer, I might as well offer some of what I can see just really quickly looking at the transits and applying them to the Sibley chart. So hopefully you guys found this helpful, or you got something out of it. Please like and subscribe to help my page grow, and thanks for your support.